Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. If you're about to start building a project or start a building project, I can't speak. If you're about to start a building project or even just a small do-it-yourself project around your house, turn to A.G. Hines Company. For one, they're probably going to have more materials than anybody else you turn to right now. Materials aren't easy to find, but these guys with 100 years of experience and contacts, they've got a good stockpile for you. So I'd start there for the best materials, but also you get 100 years of expertise to help you figure out how to use those materials and tools correctly. They don't just hand it to you and say, bye. You can turn to them and they help you walk through the whole process. A.G. Hines Company, 4 generations. Companies don't do that. That's just remarkable. If a company lasts that long, that's a good company. A.G. Hines Company. All right. Tennessee's camp will feature 4 quarterbacks. You've got Joe Milton, the transfer from Michigan. You got Hendon Hooker, the transfer from Virginia Tech. Brian Maurer, the returning veteran. And Harrison Bailey, the 5-star from a year ago, who last August was supposed to be the savior, and now everybody says, eh. So that's going to require, in theory, the splitting of a lot of reps, 4 different ways. How quickly does Heupel need to whittle that competition down? Or is it just a question of find the right guy? If there's no clear line of demarcation between the top 2 and the bottom 2, to heck with the reps, keep them out there until you find the right guy. How important is it, speed or find the right guy? Which way are you going here? How does he need to whittle it down?
I vote find the right guy.
I do too. Now, you want to find the right guy, not
Quick.
the day before the game.
Right.
But I think that the week of the game, you got to have that guy. And when you whittle it down, it's kind of dependent on who performs and does what. But I'm in the same camp as Bob. I find the right guy, even if it takes me till the week before the first game.
So in other words, the splitting of reps 4 or 3 ways doesn't worry you.
I don't think you can worry about it right now because, I mean, the coaching staff is so new, the quarterbacks are so new to the system, that I think if you made a premature judgment and you went out there and said, okay, I like his arm strength, I like this, I like that, and you start giving him all the reps to where, okay, he becomes our guy by default, I think that would be a mistake. I would go out there open-minded and say, let the chips fall.
And how do you evaluate one of Heupel's biggest intangible qualities, which is leadership skills, which is who's going to be able to take this team and do what we need to do to move the ball downfield and make the right decisions and all that. I almost wonder, John, with all of the COVID stuff going on, if you don't have separate kind of practice areas and keep some of these guys apart for a while, just in case something does happen. Look what's going on with the Vikings. You know, they've already had issues and can't have a practice. So I think there's a lot of things to where you got to figure out how to do it, but you can't keep giving quality reps to 4 guys indefinitely. You know, somebody's got to, distinguish himself as the one that has the best chance to help you win football games.
When Joe Milton arrived, there was a lot of talk, the arm strength, he's just got all the tools. And then at SEC Media Days, Heupel was asked some of the transfers coming in. He went on and on about Joe Milton specifically. Mm-hmm. Has he whittled this thing down in his mind, do you think? Do you think in his head there's a leader from just based on what he said down there?
I'm going to say no. And he did. Now, I don't know how many quarterbacks he was asked about. So he might.
He was asked about transfers, and he went straight into Joe Milton.
He did. But if you'd asked him about Bailey and Maurer, I don't know what he would have said. But the reason I don't think he's whittled it down is because what's one of the biggest keys in this offense? Decision making. What's Joe Milton done as far as decision making in practice?
Decided to come to here, not to the balls
at UT. So because of that, I'm going to say no, he hasn't. He's got to see what Milton can do when the bullets are flying, so to speak, and they're under scrimmages and practices to where he's got to make decisions. So I'm going to say no to that.
And I think people need to give Harrison Bailey a little bit of a break. I mean, as a true freshman, a lot of times you're trying to still find where your class is. You don't even know where a lot of the buildings are on campus. But it's like you get all this hype and all this video coming out of high school in Georgia. I mean, give him a chance to develop and get better.
If he's your most accurate guy, I got news for you. That's my number one.
Yes.
That's what I'm looking for more than anything else out of the quarterback. I know people want legs. I know people want big arm and a cannon. Give me a guy who's accurate. You can win with that.
Exactly.
I'm not down on Harrison Bailey, but it is remarkable, though, and that's why I pointed it out the way I did. Last August, he was supposed to be the savior. They saw 2 or 3 games of him and were like, okay, that's enough. which is typical. That's
Yeah.
not that that's unusual. We see that a lot. Guy doesn't come in and throw for 5 touchdowns in his first game. Well, he's a bust. But I think. Does anybody have are we guessing it's Milton? Is that the leader at this point in your minds? Do you think
No.
it will be Lee? You
I
don't have a
I
guy.
don't see how he could be. I mean, you haven't seen him practice yet. I know you've seen him out there on the field
So if
working
you-
out with his
okay.
guys during
Here-
the summer.
Here's what I'm getting at. If I told you right now, gun to your head, who do you think the starter's going to be? That's what I'm asking. Who do you think's going to start? Based on the hype and what you're hearing and what's coming out of there? Because there
I'll
seems
tell
to
you
be an
what,
awful lot of
I
people talking
still-
about Milton.
I still lean towards Harrison Bailey.
Me too.
He's had the most playing time at Tennessee, and Milton transferred in. If he wins the job, so be it. But I mean, he got off to a great start at Michigan, right? The first few games, and then
Well,
he
the first
really
game.
and was really inconsistent.
Well, he sat
And
first.
see,
Then when
that's
he got
what-
the game, got the job, he lost it.
I keep going back to is the book that you have on the other guys that you've seen. I think Bailey seems to have enough upside, but those guys could rewrite the book too this fall to
Right.
practice.
Yeah, I think this show. I think most people would say it's Milton. I think that's the vibe around town is Milton's going to be your guy. I don't know if that's just because no one's seen him and because the hype, but everybody's talking Milton. I don't think it's a done deal either. But if I had to make a pick right now, based on the general mood about town, which seems to be fed by all the people over there on campus saying, "Oh, you should see him in the workouts. Oh, you should see his
Well,
arm."
and I think physically he probably
Yeah.
is the most
He is.
imposing.
He is.
So
Well,
he's
those-
gonna
I think there's
probably
more
play
to
He
it than
lost, the
physical
job
guilt
at, he
gives.
lost the job at Michigan because he couldn't read defense. And if you can't make decisions and read defenses in this offense, I don't think you're going to be the quarterback. So that's why I'm going Bailey.
Very good. All right, when we come back, Tennessee was ranked number 127 out of 130 schools in terms of stability. Okay, a lot of people still saying this team's going to go 6-6, 7-5. It'll be okay. I ask how. We'll come back and talk about this stability ranking next on the Sports Source. Come on back.